You know what's always kind of captivating? Secret organizations and stories. The ones pulling strings behind the
Oh,
scenes.
absolutely, that hidden power thing.
Exactly. So today we're diving into two big ones. The Council of the Unseen from Welcome to Chichester, and of course, the legendary Spectre from James Bond.
Ah, great contrast. Comedy thriller versus classic spy action.
Right. And our mission for you listening is to really unpack these two. We want to look at their goals, how they're set up, their methods, basically what makes them tick, drawing on our research.
And we'll try to pull out the most interesting bits without burying you in details.
Okay, so let's jump in. What were these groups actually after? What was the big objective?
Well, it's interesting because both fundamentally wanted global influence.
Yeah.
But how they got there, different paths.
Hmm.
For the council, the sources say it was explicitly global dominance.
Hmm.
And it seems rooted in this deep-seated need for revenge from the founders. Personal grievance writ large.
Revenge on a global scale. Wow.
Yeah. And what's fascinating is their method. They apparently preferred, manipulation.
Yeah.
Subtle stuff. They even had a school for gifted world rulers, believe it
Yeah.
or not.
A school, seriously. That's unexpected, like a long-term investment in evil.
Kind of. It points to a really long game strategy. Though there are hints this whole grand plan might start to unravel for them later on.
Okay, so subtle manipulation, long game, maybe fragile. What about Spectre? They feel bigger somehow.
Well, it definitely evolved. In the original novels, more of a high-level criminal syndicate, think mafia meets, well, other nasty groups.
Right.
But the films really blew it up into global control. A key early tactic, remember, was playing the superpowers off against each other, the US, the USSR.
Classic Cold War villainy. That taps into real fears, doesn't it?
Totally. And then the reboot continuity. It shifted again. Control over global intelligence, the whole Nine Eyes thing. Plus Blofeld's very personal beef with Bond.
So, still global reach, but the why changed. Revenge for the Council, but for Spectre. It's been everything from profit to strategy to personal vendetta.
Exactly. It suggests maybe that core motivation shapes the whole organization. The Council's single-mindedness versus Spectre's more varied, perhaps more opportunistic approach.
Interesting. Let's talk structure then. How were they actually organized? Who was calling the shots?
The Council seems, well, deliberately shadowy. Their main base in America was disguised as Mr. Nibbles' Fortune Holdings.
Wait, really? Mr. Nibbles?
Apparently. Suggests a weird sense of humor, or maybe just deep cover. Plus, they had this global network, listening posts, satellites, a big intel operation.
And leadership.
There's mention of Grendel Jinx as an heir apparent, suggesting some kind of succession plan, and the fact Chambers used to be in. Hints at internal politics, maybe instability.
A corporate front, hidden network, succession plans.
Yeah.
Feels almost modern in a creepy way. How does Spectre compare?
Spectre, especially early on, felt much more formal. You had Blofeld, clearly number one, often a number two like Largo.
That numbering system always stood out.
Right, very clandestine. And the novel detail about the cabinet drawing members from the Gestapo, Esmerish, Mafia, I mean, it's like a supervillain convention.
A truly international cartel of evil.
Pretty much. The reboot then cleverly tied it all together, saying Spectre was behind villains from previous films, even infiltrating MI6 itself, made them seem utterly pervasive.
So both hierarchical, both secret, but Spectre feels more like this sprawling, almost formalized global entity, while the Council is maybe more integrated, hidden within existing structures.
Yeah, the presentation is key. Spectre announces its power structure almost. The Council hides it behind, well, Mr. Nibbles.
Okay, let's get into methods. How did they actually do things? What were their go-to moves?
The Council, again, leaned into the shadows, espionage, extortion, blackmail, sabotage, lots of propaganda. The sources stress they tried to avoid killing unless necessary.
Control through information and pressure, mostly.
Seems like it. Manipulation over brute force, which contrasts sharply with Spectre.
Yeah, Spectre wasn't exactly subtle, were they?
Not usually. Think big. Nuclear blackmail, biological warfare threats, trying to literally hold the world to ransom, starting wars. Their scale was often catastrophic.
And very violent. Strict internal discipline, too, right? Blofeld wasn't known for his gentle management style.
Definitely not. Failure often meant a very permanent departure. And the reboot kept that edge, controlling surveillance tech, DNA-specific bioweapons like Project Heracles, plus the direct attacks on Bond.
So both use covert means and fronts, but Spectre seems way more comfortable with massive violence and high-tech terror.
It's a huge difference in operational philosophy, really. Control versus chaos, almost.
How powerful did they actually become in their respective stories? What was their influence level?
The Council is presented as the main adversary and relentless protagonist. They drive the whole conflict, but the existence of opponents like the Phoenix Custodians shows they weren't unopposed.
So a major threat, but maybe not omnipotent. And you mentioned they might be declining.
Yeah, there are hints of that, suggests their power might be waning or at least challenged significantly.
And Spectre, they feel like they just kept coming back.
Especially in the classic films. They were the recurring global threat, conveniently politically neutral during the Cold War, so Bond could fight them without starting World War III.
A perfect enemy for the times.
And the reboot, making them the secret masters behind everything, that massively ups their perceived influence across the entire series. Aiming for total control of global intel is about as ambitious as it gets.
So both hugely influential plot drivers, but maybe Spectre achieved a greater sense of enduring, overarching power within his narrative world.
Arguably, yes. Their reach and resilience, especially in the film versions, seem greater.
Okay, so wrapping this up, we've got these two fascinating takes on secret power. The Council, driven by this personal vendetta using subtle means, maybe starting to fray. And Spectre, this sprawling, adaptable entity willing to use massive force.
Which really leads to a final thought for you, the listener. When you consider these two, which approach is actually more unsettling? Is it the Council's quiet, patient manipulation from within? Or is it Spectre's grand, destructive, often very loud actions?
Yeah, what does your gut reaction tell you about what we fear most when we think about hidden power and control?
It's something to mull over, for sure.
Definitely. Well, hopefully this deep dive has shed some light on the dark but compelling worlds of these two fictional giants.